Hello, 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 and welcome back to R&D with KD. I'm your host, Khalil Dillard. Today, I'm joined by Brett Butler. Brett is an amazing father, son, business owner, and entrepreneur as well in the Modesto, Fresno area. Our topics today are going to focus on growth, overcoming adversity, and networking efficiently as well. I'm a former athlete, small business owner, and serial entrepreneur. The goal of the podcast is to inform and inspire entrepreneurs who are looking to get started but don't know how. Each week, I am going to highlight ordinary people in our communities who do extraordinary things. Before we jump in, a little bit about Brett. Brett has been a huge impact on my life, especially the past year and a half. He's really been a great role model for me, a person, another young adult who I can go and ask questions to. I'm really fortunate to have him, have this conversation with him, introduce you all to Brett because I know the value that he has for young men, especially young black men in our community. Really, any man, Brett always makes himself available, gives great information, great knowledge, and I'm very fortunate that he's got to share some of that knowledge with me over the past year and a half. So thank you for joining us today, Brett.
Appreciate you guys for having me.
Appreciate you. So just before we get started, can you tell the audience a little bit about where you're from and how that has impacted your life, thus far?
Born and raised in Modesto, California, east side to be exact. My mother and my father raised me. I'm 32. I've lived all but 2.5 years in Modesto. The only other 2 years I've lived away was in Mississippi. Shout out to the Delta. And I'm Modesto, born and raised. I love Modesto. That's home. I decided to make my business back home. I felt like my business and what we have to offer, not just to athletes, but what we offer to the community was something that was missing. And I had the opportunity to come open it in a couple different places, but I thought Modesto was the place for it. I like to think I made the right decision because I like to think we've been pretty successful in that. And I think everything that Modesto stands for, I'm that. You know what I'm saying? I think Modesto is the best city in all of California. I know a lot of people probably don't believe that, but I believe that it is. Because if I feel like if I wasn't from Modesto, I wouldn't be doing where I'm at and I wouldn't be successful. So, I love where I'm from. And I definitely hang my hat on that.
Absolutely. If the audience didn't know, I am from Modesto as well. 209 guy, West Side though. I don't know about the East Side, but no, it's very. I'm very happy to see another young man from our community who's working hard and definitely a positive impact, influence, and role model for me, especially coming up. So this is a really big opportunity for me to have Brett here, being that we are from the same community, looking to make some of the same impacts on our community, if not bigger. So can you tell the audience about some of the things that you're doing with TPL that are different from what other gyms might be doing in the area?
One thing, this summer we were very, very fortunate. It was the first time that we were able to work I'm trying to see the right word to say it, officially with Modesto City Schools. So what we were able to do, we basically wrote a proposal to Modesto City Schools to run a summer camp at 2 different sites, and we got to work with kids from, I believe it was kindergarten to 3rd grade. So kids who, may have been struggling academically that had to go to summer school, or maybe kids who didn't have active parents where they had to, be watched by the school over the summertime. Those were the kids that usually do summer school in Modesto. And so what we were able to do is we were able to put on a summer camp where we got to open their eyes to what fitness could be. A lot of kids, most of the time in high school and junior high, they hate physical education. They never dress out. They don't participate. So our goal with TPL is to expose kids from kindergarten to 5th grade or kindergarten to high school, to what fitness could be, how it could be fun, how it could be life-changing, just like it's been for me and my employees. And we were able to write this proposal, get a good little bit piece of money, work on campus, not only with the students, but with the staff. So even just that networking opportunity to work with principals, superintendents, people in the offices that we normally wouldn't cross paths with. I was able to do that every day for about 4 to 6 weeks. And right now we're obviously in the process of writing another proposal so we can hold a after school program for kids that usually go to ACES or Latchkey or whatever it's called at your school. We're trying to write a proposal right now that would allow us to be able to work with those kids for all 36 weeks of the school year. So that's just one thing I think that we do a lot differently. Most of the time I feel like with gyms, and not saying like it's a knock or anything bad, but I feel like you go to a gym, you work out, and you're out. And that's kind of it. You don't really get to have a
the family
Yeah,
experience.
the family experience, you know, like I'm there every day. My son's there every day. My mother's there every day. So if you're someone that comes into TPL, you get a pretty good look of what my life is like day to day and who my family is, my employees' families. And then we do a really good job of creating a family atmosphere that I feel like a lot of families go, whether it's the husband and wife or the wife and her sisters. I mean, there's just it's a real close-knit community. We hang out, we party together, we throw parties at the gym. We do things. It's basically like it's like the club with working out, basically, is what I feel like TPL is. We have DJs in there. We do a lot of stuff with other small businesses where we allow small businesses to come, and we basically have a pop-up shop. So usually on like big days like our anniversary, and our anniversary actually is coming up in October, we have somewhere between 50 to 60 vendors come. And those vendors, they come out and they put out their best stuff, they show what they have, and those are vendors all the way from Modesto all the way to Oakland to San Francisco to San Jose. Somehow they have a connection with me, whether I played ball with somebody or their family member comes or anything like that. And I think that's pretty unique and really cool with what we do. So that's just a little bit about us. About
your role as a business owner, did you always know that you wanted to own gyms or run your own gyms? Like, what was your intro to entrepreneurship?
My intro to entrepreneurship, shit. I'd have to go way back. I joke around. Well, it's not a joke, but I joke with my friends now. The first way I ever made money is we used to, when you're a kid, you feel like the only thing important is having money, and so I remember being younger, you wanted to make money, but I feel like when you're a kid, at least where I'm from, I was kind of scared to like dibble and dabble in the street at the time. So I think that was a good thing, but I wasn't scared to get money. So what we would do is I was going to middle school at the time. I went to UStack, and UStack is kind of on the better side of town. You know what I'm saying? From where my friends and family live. So we got the idea that if I sold porno tapes to if I sold porno tapes to these horny little boys that parents gave them school money every day, I would make money. So, we would, go on back then, I think it was like LimeWire or Hamster, all those little sites. And so I would get a VHS tape. I'd find a little nasty little video. I'd download it. I'd put it on a VHS tape, and I'd walk around the neighborhood, or I'd walk around at school with 4 and 5 tapes. And if I sold those 4 or 5 tapes in a week, that's like $100, $150 in a week. When you're 12 years old, $100 to $150 a week add up. So I'm walking around at the end of the month with $7,000 to $1,000 in my pocket. I feel like I'm Pablo Escobar. Like getting money and getting to the money is something that I feel like I've always had a knack doing. Obviously I was doing it the wrong way when I was younger, but the gym definitely saved my life. Starting to train kids, and I think once I started taking it a little bit more seriously, I started to really think like, oh man, maybe I could be a business owner. Maybe there is something like to this. And I started reading books. I networked and met some people that actually like own businesses and like did stuff the correct way, and God really be looking out for me. So he gave me an opportunity, about 7 years ago, to open up TPL. I leveraged
7 years, huh?
Yeah. October.
How old were you when you did that?
When I opened up TPL, I was 25.
25.
Yeah, so I was 25. I was young. Hadn't owned a house. I never owned a car. So it was obviously life-changing because I was able to make more money and build something. But I think it was life-changing too because I didn't really have the full concept of like debt, right? Like I didn't have any debt, didn't have a credit card at the time. I had nothing. Like everything I had, I was still making a bunch of cash, so doing a bunch of things. So having to, have a loan and, talk about interest, talk about paying, that was my first ever experience with that. You know what I'm saying though? Like, even paying rent on a place I wasn't living in. You know what I mean? So I feel like October 10th, we had our grand opening in 2015. October 12th, 2015 was our first ever day in business. So I feel like from then on, my life really changed. You get an opportunity to open your business, and you think of all the cool things that come with opening a business. Like, oh, I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. What am I gonna name it? I'm gonna look at all this equipment to buy all this stuff, and once I looked at that number of what all this costs, I almost said, hell no. Like, what I'm saying? I'd never seen so many zeros. So and then in your mind, you're thinking like, shit, like I told everybody I'm about to open this business, and now I'm about to like back out on the deal. I can't do that. But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a time period where I was like, man, how in the hell am I going to pay back all this money? Because I'd never done it. I'd never had a mortgage at the time. I didn't even have a car payment at the time. So that was very interesting.
What was it like for you never having any debt to now you own a gym? Did you feel levels of anxiety, and if so, how did you overcome that? Like, how did you prepare yourself for that new obstacle of running a business?
To be honest, no. I think that's what helped me. Mm-hmm. I think me being so inexperienced with money, or that amount of money, made me naive to what I was really signing up for. So I wasn't that young man that looked at $300,000 and I was like, damn, like, I can't do that. I felt like I was the opposite. Like, $300,000, well, that's not $1 million, so it's not that much money. Yeah. You know what I'm saying, though? Like, $500,000 is not $1 million. At the time, $1 million was everything. So if it wasn't $1 million, like, what am I tripping off of? I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But now, being 32 and owning homes and different things, I look at that number now and I probably wouldn't take that risk. So, I feel like, yes, at 25, was I probably emotionally mature enough to do what I did? Probably not. But I think me being a bit arrogant and me being a bit inexperienced is what made me successful, because I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared of anything. What did I have to lose? I didn't have shit anyway. Yeah. So if I don't have shit anyways, there's nothing for me to really be scared to lose. Now, if I had a home and I had a child at the time and all the things that I have now, I might be a little bit more apprehensive to signing up for, a commitment like that. Back then, sign me up twice. Yeah. Because if I leave, so like the way it was leveraged, so my partner, shout out to my partner, he definitely changed my life. He came to me and gave me the proposal. I turned him down the first time. I was trying to be what I thought what you should be. You come up with the people that you come up with. You're dumb. You're dumb. You think that loyalty and loyal to the people that you've been loyal to was everything. And there's some validity in that, but you and people grow at different times. Yep. You know what I mean? And sometimes you outgrow relationships. And I didn't understand that when I was 25. You know what I'm saying? I thought that, okay, if I've been messing with Khalil and me and Khalil have been getting money together since we was 10, Khalil's supposed to get money for me forever, or with me forever. And I had to learn the hard way. It ain't like that. You know what I mean? Sometimes, hey, I might get money with Khalil for 10 years, and it may be Bobby for the next 5, it may be Samantha for the next 10. You know what I'm saying? But everything's evolving, everything's changing. So, but when I finally realized that, I hit my partner back up and I said, hey, is the deal still on the table? He said, yeah. So I said, hey, the only way it's going to work, me and you got to be 50-50 in the business. You got to front all the money, right? And if you do that, you get half. That's the only way this is finna work. You know what I'm saying? I do the work, you put up the money. You know what I'm saying? But it got to be my way. And I was banking on me, you know what I mean? And I feel like, everyone always talks about that. Everybody always talks about having this ultimate faith or taking, well, I feel like until you actually do it or you put yourself out there, you can't say that you're really about that, Truly. And so for me, I was banking on my talent. I was banking on, my influence. I was banking on my charisma. You know what I mean? That I could take something that was in my brain, something that was really, really small, and I could make it into something that was going to be able to pay back money and make me money. You know what I mean? And luckily I was right. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't be sitting here on this table talking to you. How
since being a business owner, like how have some of your friendships changed? While navigating the business, because I know we've had this conversation before. I run my own small business, and I know that that's been a challenge, navigating friendships, what people think is actually going on versus the reality of what is really going on. Like, how do you continue to develop meaningful friendships while owning the business? And not get taken advantage of.
Facts. I feel like that's been a hard thing, and it's definitely something that you have to do like from experience. From friends to family to relationships. I feel like from October 10th till now, everything has changed. I feel like when I was 23-year-old Brett and I was working in the back of a gym and I didn't have any money and everything was just to get to where I'm at today. The relationship that I was in, the friends that I had, the family members that I was with every day, it was much easier for me to have relationships with them because we were all in the same place. We were all kind of doing the same thing. We kind of all had the same narrative. But when October 10th hit and you have your family and you have your friends and they come to what I think is a beautiful place and they see the people trickling in, they see all the new things you have, they just see what the potential could be and what reality is at the moment. I felt like literally from that day forward, everything was harder to have relationships, harder to be able to judge people to see, okay, are they messing with me because of me, or are they messing with me because what I can do for them? Am I beneficial, or is it because I've been official for this so long? So everything. I've had family members that I don't speak to. I've had family members steal money from me. Which is crazy. Which is crazy to think. We're talking about people that I would support them. I've paid their bills. I've helped them take care of their kids, and you take from me. I could give you more than you could take, type of thing. But people don't see it that way. They just see a new car, or they see you on vacation, or whatever. They just see that. It's a gym full of people, so they believe like, oh well, Brett's up. If Brett's up, he ain't gonna notice, or he don't care. And to you, it might look like I'm up, but I might be struggling to pay bills. So it's just I don't know. It comes with the territory. Heavy is the head that wears a crown. If you call yourself the king, like there's stuff that comes with it. And I understand when you're like social, like this phone, right, is great. Because I run my whole business and my life on it, but it's also a detriment. Because on social media, everybody just puts the highlights, right? Yep. Like I'm gonna put the picture of the most people in the gym at the most impacted hour. I'm not posting old videos when I had one kid. I'm not posting, the first 8 months of business where I didn't make a dime. Like that's not what I'm posting. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna post like, oh, this month we made the most money that I've ever made. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna post, oh, I was able to buy a new house, or whatever the case may be. You're not posting your failures, and there's way more failures than there are successes. Like I'm real big in lyrics, so I really connect with music. And there's this one song I play every day on my way to work. Big Sean, he has a line. He says, "Before I hit a home run, I had 1,000 strikes," and it's real. You know what I'm saying? Like people only see Brett Butler's home runs. Man. You know what I'm saying? They only see my triples and my doubles. All them strikeouts, they ain't seeing them. You know what I'm saying? I ain't posting those. So it's definitely been harder. It's been hard to have relationships like in all avenues. I feel like when people hear people say that, they think that they're just talking about like a romantic relationship, like you with your girlfriend, and that's hard within itself. But I feel like my family, because like everybody's asking for something, right? Yep. Whether they need a job, or my kid don't have money for shoes. But it's like, shit, I got a kid too. And
you're still young.
Yeah, I'm still young. Yeah. So like I said, we're talking about we're having these conversations when I'm 25. We're having these conversations when I'm 26.
What's that pressure feel like for a young man doing things like that?
I wouldn't say it's like. I wouldn't necessarily coin it as like having pressure per se. Pressure, being black in America, there's pressure every day. You know what I'm saying? So somebody asking me for something, it's not pressure. It's just like, I don't know.
Did you have to learn to say no?
Absolutely. I'm still learning how to say no. I'm still learning. Like I said, I didn't pay other people's mortgages. I didn't pay rents. I didn't made car payments. You know what I'm saying? I didn't help people get through school. And obviously, some of those people, man, that I've been able to do, which is, I'm fortunate that I've been able to do that, but it's like, it's been worth it. Some of them haven't, because the amount of energy that you expend for people or that person, man, that shit'll kill you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it's draining, right? Like I'm working, I'm doing this and that. I see Bobby calling me. I know Bobby needs money. So I was like, I'll call him later. You know what I'm saying, though? Like, I'm going to call you. Because it's not hard to find me. Like I tell people all the time, if you really want to find me, you can find me. You know what I'm saying, though? But shoot, Bobby been banging my line for 6 months. Hey, Brett, I need it. Brett, I swear this time I'm going to pay you back. I got you, my guy. Knowing damn well Bobby can't pay me. Bobby has no intention of paying me. He just tell me what I want to hear. Give Bobby the money. Bobby calling another 6 months later. Hey, Brett, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and it's a perpetual thing. But you have to learn how to say no, because I was doing it too much. I was doing it too much for too many people. Like God, and I think it's good. I think this way, but I guess you learn how to manage it better. Like God's given me a lot. Now I don't claim to be like rich, or I don't claim to be like a millionaire, but I understand that I have more than most. So I believe that because God has given me a lot, I should give a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like what he's gave to me, I can never give that away. Yeah. I don't even have enough to give that much away. So it's like, if I have it and I'm okay, and my son's okay, and my family's okay, and Khalil needs $100, cool, take it. You know what I'm saying? Samantha needs this, go ahead and take it. I got you. Because it's like, man, like what's the $100 not about to change nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? If I buy your kid a pair of shoes, or I pay your car payment, that's not going to change nothing for me. So why am I tripping? I got to feel good within myself. Like, hey, man, I did the right thing. They didn't have it. Now, I can't do it for forever. You know what I'm saying? I can't do it for you forever, but I can get you on your feet, and then what you do from there is on you. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? No, but that's a lesson that I had to learn. I'm still learning. You know what I mean? Because I feel like sometimes people try to guilt trip you, right? Like, people are like, bro, I was there before anything. Hey, you remember it? It's like, damn, bro, that was 15 years ago. But hey, in their mind, you owe them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, sometimes it's easy. Sometimes, and sometimes I feel like it's good to give the money, because if I give Khalil $150 and you trip off $150, it's like, man, I paid $150 to get you out of my life. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The people I've helped out that have burned me, okay, cool. It cost me $500 to get you out of my life, cool. It's all right. Use a $500 payment one time.
One time.
And I ain't got to do it, and I ain't got to deal with you no more. You know what I'm saying, though? So you can either sulk on it, be mad, but being mad don't change shit for you. So you got to look at it in a positive. That's what I'm saying. Like, one of my homeboys, he got dough. Like, he got real money. You know what I'm saying? He the one that broke it down to me. Like, okay, I gave my cousin $3,000. Never heard from him again. Cool, it cost me $3,000 to get you the fuck out of here. Why am I tripping? You mean so it cost me $3,000 one time, and I ain't never got to deal with you. Otherwise, you could have been nickel and diming me for this day. How much would I have given you? Would have been 3,000 times 3. You know what I mean? So it just takes for you to look at it from an optimistic point of view, and I feel like once you do that, you kind of good from there.
What do you think, or what's something that continues to inspire you or motivate you today?
Now, I feel like I'm motivated by different things. Like, obviously, I feel like when you're younger, it's all about the money.
Yep.
And I get that.
Is it okay to be all about the money?
I think it is. I think it is. I feel like what makes me tick and what makes you tick is different. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, like, I guess for me, when I found out it wasn't about the money, like, obviously for a time period, it was all about getting money. Nothing else mattered. You know what I mean? And I remember once I was really, really, like, hustling, I was really, really working hard on the business. I remember, like, I did like a little promo, like, to, like, train with me personally. Made $9,000 in 3 days. And so, like, obviously, like, some people don't make $9,000 in a month. Some people might not even make $9,000 in 2. I made it in 3 days. And that's not including, like, all the other stuff I had going on. That was just one isolated thing, and I think I'm pretty lucky even for them 3 days. But I guess it showed me, like, okay, I made $9,000 in 3 days. And then, got to the weekend, I'm at the house chilling, and it was like, well, shit, what do I do? I got these $9,000 and it's burned a hole in my pocket, but I don't feel any more whole. Like, yeah, I can go to Vegas, I can go here, I could do that, I could pay for my homeboys to come, and we're gonna act like, we got Jalen Ramsey money, you know what I'm saying, for a weekend, but I'm gonna go back to Monday and I'm gonna feel the same. You know what I mean? So I think for me, at that time period, like, it was all about the money, I made a little bit of money and I still wasn't good. You know what I mean? So, like, I feel like for me, like, what's motivating, it's like I say all the time, like, how do I make people feel? Like, when Miss Sarah comes in, like, is she really happy? Does she really like being in TPL? Like, has TPL really added value to her life? Or this conversation with you feel me? It's like, is that adding value to Khalil's life and his listeners' life? Like, me being able to sit back and see that, or sit back and see, maybe some advice that I gave you, or an experience that I share with somebody, how maybe that helps them not make the same mistake and make their life better. Like, that's what's motivating for me. That's what's gratifying for me, because, like, I done had my fair share of, like, making some dollars. You know what I mean? Whether it was, like, in business or in other things. You know what I'm saying? Or, like, where it's like, okay, man, like, I've had that experience. I've been able to go here. I've done all these different things. So it's like, what is it now? And obviously now being a father, right? Being able to, like, spend time with my child and have my child, hopefully have a better life and hopefully have a better childhood than me. Like, those things, you mean, like relationships, right? Like, having meaningful relationships with people, whether that's your mother, your father, your brother, your friends, your significant other, like, being successful at that, because I feel like that's what life is about. Like, you get caught up in money, you need money to live, and definitely money to pay for the things that you need. You mean, so I'm definitely not trying to sit here and say, you mean, just be out here being broke, because that shit don't make you happy either. But I feel like money can't buy you happiness, but it's a hell of a down payment to get there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? No, and I feel like that's how I look at it. You mean, but relationships, people, how you make people feel. Like what my legacy will be. I mean, that's what I'm more motivated for now than ever.
Did you, when you were a kid or when you were in high school or in college, did you vision this lifestyle for you? Like, did you always expect this for yourself, or how did you get to where you are now? Is it always something that you've wanted to do?
In what?
In business, or like your life as a man now? Did you see it panning out this way?
Some ways, yeah. Some ways, no. I feel like when you're younger, your parent always asks you what you want to be. And
what'd you say? What was your answer?
I just told my mom I'm gonna be a boss. Like literally from 10 till now. You know what I'm saying? And my mom used to always say I was crazy. Like, boy, what in the hell is you talking about? And I remember, obviously I didn't even know what that meant. I just knew I was going to be a boss. You know, like my mom couldn't come to my game and my dad couldn't come to my game. And I have like fantastic parents. I feel like I have the best parents in the world. And I know I've given them a lot of hell raising me. But if they ask me, you know, kids talk about like their day at school. You know what I mean? Or, oh, this is what I did in my football game. It was never that for me. If my mom asked me, like, oh, how was your football game? Oh, I was killing. It was just that simple. Like, oh, I'm the best. Oh, what'd you do? I'm the best, Mom.
Where'd you get that confidence from?
Being raised by a bunch of crazy people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, though? Like I feel like my dad, you know, my dad is different. My dad comes from my grandmother. My grandmother was great. You know, she's passed now, you know, but my grandmother, like, she used to always say this thing that she raised the last group of good men, that all men were shit. So, you mean, my grandmother said she has 4, my grandmother had 4 girls, then 4 boys, so 8 altogether. My dad's the youngest of 8. And my grandmother used to always say she raised the last group of good men. So if any woman in the world's ever with a Butler man, they should be happy because she raised the last group. And I'm one of them, you know what I'm saying? So my grandmother used to always talk about taking pride in your last name. You know, that's one of the reasons I got it tatted on me, that there's nothing better and there's nothing greater in this world than being a Butler man. So if you walk around with that last name, like, you somebody. You know what I mean? So you never hang your head. You never think that you're not good enough. And you know, that's what she would say. You know what I mean? And obviously she raised my father, and you know, my father, you know, he's a hell of a man. You know, he's a retired fire captain. He's actually the first and only black fire captain the city of Modesto has ever had. You mean, in over like 200 years of having firefighters, and to this day, you know, he's still the only one. So growing up in that, you know, growing up in that type of environment where you really take a lot of pride in being a Butler, you take pride in being a black man, you take pride in where you're from. You mean, the expectation level for you is high.
Yep.
From the moment your feet hit the ground in the morning to the time you lay your head down on the pillow, you know. And so my dad was hard, extremely hard on me, like extremely. You mean, from anything, from school to sports to, you know, shaking every man's hand, looking them in the eye. Like, my dad has always been about that, you know, because that's where he comes from. You know, he didn't have a good father, you know, abusive father, used to beat him up, beat my grandmother up. Like, I didn't see a picture of my grandfather until I was 14. And it was just on some fluke shit. Like, I was at my grandmother's house helping her move stuff. I had never seen him. My dad never talks about his father. Doesn't have no pictures. I didn't even know my grandfather's name until I was 14. You know what I'm saying? So he comes from a very, very toxic and a very bad experience with his father. So I feel like that's why he made it such a precedent that I'm going to be an active father in my kid's life, but my kid's going to not be a pussy. That, I feel like that's my dad's big thing. My kid's not going to be a pussy, and he's going to be able to take care of himself. And I feel like being raised like that gave me the confidence, you know what I'm saying, though, like that I have when I was younger and, you know, today.
Now that you have a son, how do you take those same teachings that your grandma taught you, your own parents taught you, and then how do you take those teachings, raising your own son, raising Ace? You know, how has that molded you as a young man, young father?
You know, absolutely. You know, Ace, you mean like he. I feel like there's no kid better than my kid. And I don't say that just because he's my kid. I say that because of the time and the effort that I put into him. You know, I feel like, even with his name, like Ace in the dictionary means, you mean a person good at any particular sport or activity. So that's why I named him that. So in his name, it has power. Like, you're the best. You mean, you're the best. You should always think you're the best. You know, Cannon is his middle name. It's K-N-O-N. And it's like this like philosopher dude that like shows like mercy and humbleness, like in the Buddhist like thing. And then Butler, like, obviously, so it's like you're the number one, you show mercy and humbleness to everybody, and you have the best last name there ever is. There's no option for you to be average in this world. There's no option for you not to be great. There's no option, and it's in your name, and there's power in your name. And I tell him that every day. You mean, you know, he's a little kid. He's only 3, you know, so he'll cry. You mean, I'll tell him you need to stop crying. And, you know, his thing, he'll be like, well, I can't. I say, man, you saying a cuss word. We don't say can't here. You don't ever say that you can't. So what we do every day, every day is a test. You know what I mean? Every day is a test. Everything that we do is a test. We have fun, and he's able to be a kid. But, you mean, right now at 3, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to the best of my ability. I'm trying to plan out his life, you know, because, you mean, like, I'm his life coach. You know what I mean? So I can't get his life right unless mine's right. You know what I mean? I like to think mine is right. You know what I mean? So everything that I'm doing, you mean, I definitely expect my son to be able to supersede that tenfold. You know what I mean? And if he doesn't, you know, I feel like as a parent, I failed my child.
Yeah. What role has being a trainer, a business owner, gym owner, played in your life? Like specifically with other people, because many people in our community have seen some great results from you. You know, so how does that make you feel, having such a big physical and personal impact on others within our community? Because fitness is a huge part of people's lives.
Yeah, it makes me feel good. Obviously, you mean I'm definitely happy that I'm able to do that, you know, and it's gratifying. It's gratifying, you know, whether it's like someone coming in, they want to lose weight, whether it's an athlete and they want to, you know, become a bit more athletic for their position or their sport. All that stuff is cool. You mean, and I love it, but it's more about the emotional connection, because I love to see like young men and young women that I've trained or trained for years, like they graduate college. So getting that text, or, you know, the times like they say, hey, coach, or hey, Brett, you mean, I had that ticket for you. Like that has been crazy. You know what I mean? That's been like really, really cool to think that this special or monumental moment that someone's going to go through, they want me at. Or, hey, I'm getting married, I want you there. Like all those things have been like very humbling, you know, but it showed me like, you know, that's what it's, like I said, that's what it's about. You mean, making people feel good and feel good that they want you to be a part of their lives. Or like some of them, like I said, they have kids, so they invite me in ACE, or they invite me to their baby shower, or whatever the case may be. Just big life events that they want me, or they want me and my employees to be a part of. To me, it's like, damn, like we've done a really good job with that person. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I like to think has been really, really cool, and I feel like it's affected the way that I treat people. Like, you know, I feel like I'm a little bit more patient. I'm very impatient. You know what I mean? So I have to have like ADHD or something. You know, I'm always on the go. It's hard for me to stay focused. But I feel like seeing what kind of effect the business has on people calms me down a little bit. You know what I mean? It slows me down a little bit, because like, oh, maybe I should take the time to ask Khalil about his day, or send him that text message, or take that call. You know, because I don't know what's on the other side of me asking that question. You know? And they might have really been waiting for somebody to ask, and maybe I'm the person to do that.
Absolutely. Now, speaking on the connection that you have with some of your employees, I know you guys are a big family at TPL, and you guys have a great work dynamic in there. Can you just speak a little bit about some of the, you know, the personal relationships that you do have with some of your employees? I know some of them have been around for a while, and so you've really got to see them grow. And now I know that's different from a client actually working with somebody for years. How was that experience, seeing Justin or some of the other girls personally grow alongside you as well?
Man, it's like really cool. Like you brought up Justin, so like it's like cool. I remember at the time, I was coaching at Modesto Junior College, and I recruited Justin out of high school. So you know, it's funny how like life happens, right? Like you recruit a young man because you see the potential like in them as a athlete, and obviously through the recruiting process, you get to like know somebody, their family, what they like, all the, you know, their goals. So he comes and he plays, and at the time, I just started training a little bit before like Justin came. So like Justin is like kind of like that first wave of athletes that I had. So it's cool to remember like, oh, okay, I remember when Justin was just a little punk 17-year-old kid, you know what I'm saying? And now he's a great young man. And to see the growth in him, not only personally, but professionally, you know, and you know, I would say if I had to like talk about them, like obviously the coolest people to see grow has definitely been Veronica and Victor. You know what I mean? Like they've been with me the longest, and even like to remember, I started training Victor in probably like 2012, 2013, give or take somewhere around there. Victor was in middle school. So I've seen Victor as a middle schooler, I've seen Victor as a high schooler, and I've seen Victor graduate college. I mean, so that's a lot of time.
That's special too.
Yeah, special. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of time to see that and the different things he's gone through in his own life. Same thing with Veronica. I met Veronica when she was a senior in high school. So from a senior in high school to her graduating college to, you know, she's graduated, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, you know, to her now, you know, becoming, you know, a partner in the business, you know, that's been like crazy, you know, like, and it's so interesting with her. Like I started training her when she was a senior in high school, and I've seen her buy her first condo. You mean selling her condo to her, you know, being an entrepreneur in her own avenue. So it's crazy to think like, dang, this girl that I met when she was 17 years old, now she's 26. I mean, it's crazy in those 9 years, almost a decade of knowing her. It's crazy to see like her go from, you know, at the time, she was just worried about paying gas for her, but she had a little Volkswagen Bug when I first met her. You mean to buying her own car, buying her own house. You know, she pays on her own trips, travels around the country. So to remember her as the 17-year-old that was just trying to, you know, get in shape, have a little fun, and pay for gas, to now the young woman that has started her own businesses, who's traveled, who owns a home. Like, you mean, it's like, damn, like, there's a lot of stuff that's happened in those 9 years. So it's really, really cool. You mean, so I'm just thankful to, you know, be a part of their journey, you mean, along their way.
No, switching a little bit, going to your time as an athlete, your time playing football in college, what was that experience for you, like moving away from home all the way across the country to Mississippi? How was that for you?
Man, it was truly like the best thing for me.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. You mean,
I moved 3 hours away from home, and I have a twin, so there was a lot of like connection issues. But even 3 hours for me, I was like, damn, I got to get home.
Nah, I feel you. I don't know. The recruiting process was, for me, it was kind of crazy. Like, I think coming, like I said, I was recruited out of high school, but you know, I was a knucklehead, so I didn't go to class. So I had to go to junior college. Junior college, I got my stuff together. You know, it was crazy. Fortunately for me, you know, I started both sports. I started on the football and basketball team in junior college, and I was really, really talented. And you know, I got really sick for a while, and like they thought I was never gonna play again. So I got like a heart issue that they never caught until like my sophomore year in college, and I didn't know it. My family didn't know it. So recruiting for me like stopped. You know, like some schools like pulled their scholarship. Like it was like a crazy time. But once we kind of got it all worked out and I was able to play again. I had like over, I don't know, 15 to 20 offers probably, you know, and they were great. They were all, some in California, some on the West Coast, Midwest, you know, but long story short, I was actually going to go to school in Canada. You know what I mean? Like, it was funny. Like, I wanted something different, wanted something new. And a dude that coached me when I was a kid, his buddy just moved to Canada, was coaching at this school. So he calls me. And so he says, hey, Brett, like, why don't you come to Canada? I'm like, why in the world would I go to Canada? You know what I'm saying? So he's breaking it down. It was in Vancouver. Vancouver's like Canada's San Francisco. Beautiful place. They were giving me, it was full ride. They was giving me money on the side. But the big thing is that the dude that was the head coach there was, I guess he used to be a head coach of a CFL team. So his whole thing to me was like, hey, you come up here, you live in Canada, we give you money, it's easy. You'll play in the CFL and life will be good. And just that alone, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's something different. So I went to go get my passport, and the lady did my passport incorrectly. So, like, when it came time for me to fly, I couldn't fly because I didn't have my passport. My passport didn't come in. And it was like a long, drawn-out process. And so 19-year-old me was like, man, like, freaking out. Like, man, I'm not going to play college football. Sac State, Fresno, everybody else called, but no one offered me a full ride the first time they called. Which pissed me off because I felt like I said, we talking about confidence, right? I felt like I was the man. How can you not offer me everything day one? If you're not offering me everything day one, I'm never coming. Then once they call me back, like, oh, Brett, nah, you didn't offer it to me. What you said the first time is how you really feel about me, you know? So I remember sleeping on the couch at one of my best friend's house, look at my phone, and I see Mississippi pop up. I was like, who's calling me from Mississippi? You know, and Coach Golden, I love Coach Golden. That's my guy, you know, super country. Answered the phone. I remember he said, hey, big dog, you want to come play in the best state in the country? I said, oh, you must be talking about California. So he said, no, give me a rundown of what they wanted. So I said, okay, what you offering? Still thinking I'm about to hear some bullshit. He said, full ride. I said, full ride? He said, full ride. You come here, we'll play for a national championship. I said, for real, huh? So I called my dad. I said, hey, Dad, I swear it was I felt like this one's different. Son, you want to move? I said, yeah, Dad, this is the spot. Signed, you know, moved there. I played him and Coach Ron Roberts, you know, and ironically enough, like, I remember telling my father, like, man, Dad, like, these got to be the best coaches ever, just because of the stuff that they were talking about, scheme, and they are. So Coach Golden, he's now the defensive coordinator at University of Alabama.
Oh, okay, roll Tide.
So he the man. You mean he the man? You know, he's at the number 1 school, or number 2. They lost in the Natty, so he's at the number 2 school in the country. And Ron Roberts, who was my head coach, he's the defensive coordinator at Baylor. They're the number 4. So. In college football, the number 2 and number 4 teams in all the country, I played for both of the coaches. You mean, so it was great. You know, the first night there, I cried my eyes out because it was the first time I'd been away from home. You know, I remember being like, damn, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I should come home. But no, my dad was like, son, you can't. You know, and I stuck it out, and it was, like I said, it was the greatest thing for me. You know, we won a bunch of games. You know, I got to work out for, like, you know, junior pro day and NFL teams and all that. And, you know, unfortunately, I got hurt, so I guess I'll never get to know, like, what would have happened if I was healthy. But the life experiences and the life lessons I've learned from living that far away, you know, being my own man, not being able to have my parents there or my cousins or my uncle or anybody who handles business for me and having to do it on my own the whole time I was there, definitely, it's part of why I'm where I'm at today. Because I feel like if I never had that experience, I'd be way softer than what I am now,
What impact did football specifically have on your, development as a man? Because I know for me growing up in Modesto, I was 7 years old taking the bus from the north side to the west side with all my football equipment just to make it to Pop Warner football practice. I know most grown men who won't even take the bus to work,
Facts.
So football to me was not only a way for me to escape the fucked up environment that I was in, but also to have the opportunity to be molded by men who cared about kids, community, and whatnot. And in a lot of ways, I attribute football to, my leadership abilities or my ability to connect with other people. So what role or impact did football or sports have on your life?
Definitely saved me. One of my best friends, he's doing like hard time in Oklahoma, right now, and he's probably the only kid I could say, like, other than that and obviously Lewis, that I feel like growing up that were just as talented as me. He was like out of this world, and he would definitely be making millions, but I feel like when you're young and you're young like me and my friends, and you're exposed to things that maybe you shouldn't be exposed to, or you have access to things that you shouldn't have access to. When you're playing sports, no matter what your sport is, and you have practice or you have someone accounting for for something, that keeps you out of a lot of shit. Unfortunately for him, when we hit high school, he wasn't on the team, so we had a lot of time. So he's hanging out with people that are, doing a lot of stuff that we shouldn't have been doing. I was doing it too, to some degree, not on the level that he was, but he had more time. He had nobody checking for him. He had nobody, there to hold his hand, like, hey man, don't do this, don't do that. And obviously it led to him getting in some situations that he don't want to be in, to where he's at today. And I love him to death. And, I feel like sometimes I have like what they call like survivor's guilt. You know what I'm saying? Where you see people around you, or you see the people that you grew up with, and you see how different your life is versus theirs. And how easy that could have been me. How easy I could have gotten caught. How easy, when I'm doing this or that, maybe my body couldn't have handled it the way that it did, So sports, man, like 100%, when you're around good people, good things happen. When you're in the streets, man, not saying those people is bad, but they're not always doing the best things. So being around that and having family or friends that did that, also saved me too, because like my cousin, one of the only people I could honestly say that I look up to, he's one of the only people that have ever really like sat me down and been like, hey baby, this life really ain't for you. You're different. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to go to school. You're supposed to do these things. Like, hey, you have any issues out here? We handle it.
What was that moment like for you? Did you accept it?
Yeah, and like it was life changing. You know what I'm saying though? Like I remember one time he had a party. We out there, and we're a little bit older now. We're 18, 19 years old, and they got girls, they got cars, they got money, they got a bunch of stuff, bunch of stuff. And so we out there having a good time. And so like one of my friends at the time, I remember he sparked it up, and we like in the street like smoking. Like, it was the only time my cousins ever put his hands on me. The only time ever. You know what I mean? And I remember like legit being scared. You know what I'm saying? Like for myself. Because I was like, dang, like he really might like kill me. Like no joke. And I remember in that moment with all this, wild and crazy stuff going on, I remember like him just telling me like, hey man, like if you fuck up, it isn't on me. You know what I'm saying? It's not on me. If you don't make it, it's not on me. It's on you, because you have every opportunity to get your shit straight. Now, if you want to be out here like the rest, and mind you, this is like in front of everybody. I mean, this is the fucking, everybody's there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get out of here because it's not with me. And to think like, and mind you, like him and his group of friends, they've been doing stuff for a long time. So I remember his group of friends, like, and we're in our big ass argument in the middle of the street. And he's talking about, man, you can't continue to treat Brett like he's a kid. You know what I'm saying? He's not 10 no more. You know what I'm saying? But to my cousins, and they're like, nah, he's always 10, at least with us. You know what I'm saying? And I remember just like, you go home and I feel like your pride's a little hurt because like, man, like he's embarrassing me, But once you really sit and think about it, it's like, nah, man, he's really looking out for me. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like from there, it was like, man, let me let me get off all this other shit that don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying?
And I know, just a quick story about you and I remember I was tripping on some, and at that moment I didn't have anybody to tell me like, hey man, you know, you might be wrong, maybe you shouldn't do this. And the fact that, you know, you took the time out of your day to like, you know what, I need to call KD because something is out of his character. And just the love that I felt in that moment from you, and you know, we're good friends, but just to know that there was somebody who cared about my well-being or appreciated the gifts that I had and didn't want to see me fuck that up, because I was definitely getting ready to fuck that up. But man, I felt so much love, and it calmed me down from the way I was feeling, the anger, the hatred that I was feeling in that moment. And at the end of it, you know, I forgot why I was mad, because I was so encompassed from the love, that the quick phone call that you showed me. I was like, man, you know, nothing is worth, you know, getting out of character, but also it showed me the love and compassion that men can have for each other, and the care, because coming from places that we're from, a lot of the times we just lack the care or the nurturing, and we just don't have it. So, you know, knowing that Brett cares about me, and knowing that you take that same energy and put it into your business and the people in your community as well, you know, makes me happy knowing that there are great people out there. So I just wanted to highlight you for an instance on a way you definitely impacted me.
You know, and even to piggyback off that, you know, like what you're saying is true. Like I feel like one thing I started doing when I started coaching, you know, is I feel like as men, you know, definitely African American men, like men don't ever tell one another that they love them. You know what I'm saying? No, like it's very rare. I feel like sometimes, like, I don't know why, but like men be like, that's a female thing. You mean, or I'll tell my mother, I'll tell my daughter, but I don't tell my son, and I'm against that. So, you know, from me to you, that I do love you, and I started doing that like once I started coaching, because I would have all these young men, and I'd have all these young men I would coach and train. And I remember one time a kid told me, he said, yeah, man, my dad's never told me that he loved me. And that really struck me, and I was like, what? He was like, yeah, man, my dad never told me. And I don't think it's because his dad didn't love him. I just think that's like a macho thing type of thing, you know? So like if you could go to any player I've ever coached, high school, junior college, I tell them all, like, hey, I love you. I mean, they text me, I bet you every holiday and my birthday, my son's birthday, over 100 some messages I'm gonna get every single year. And they say the same thing. Okay, coach, man, I love you. I miss you. Love and I miss you too. And so it's like, I feel like my cousin, like same thing. My cousin tells me that he loves me. And my dad tells me that, and I know what that does for me, you know, because they're men, you know what I'm saying? And I know that's something that's not something that they just, you know, throw around. You know what I'm saying? So like I guess I've been fortunate, man, because like I shouldn't, with all the amount of dumb shit I've done in life, I should not be here today. Only here because like God and having good people around me, you mean, they shielded me from a lot of stuff. So I definitely feel like being vocal and like reaching out to people is the right thing to do, because I feel like in most situations, most of us don't have that, you know? So I'm glad you listened though.
No, yeah. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
If I could be remembered for one thing, man, I guess if I could be only remembered for one, I would just like to be remembered for being like a hell of a person. You know, I think the best quote I was ever told, this old man, he passed away. His name was Mr. B, cool ass old dude, probably one of the smartest people I've ever met. When I was opening up my business, he had me come by and see him. He was really, really sick at the time. And he was talking to me about business and all this other stuff. And he told me, he said, Brett, you a hell of a young man. That's what you should want to be remembered as. And he says, there's one quote I'm going to tell you now, and I just want you to remember forever. He said, the hardest thing in life is to be a good person. And I'm thinking, like, oh, he's just old as fuck. He about to die. Like, he don't know shit. You know, just being young. You know what I'm saying? And then the older I get, the more that shit makes sense, right? Because life tests you. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be people or situations where it's easy to be negative. It's easy to, like, if Khalil has a stack of money over there, like, he ain't going to know that I took 20. Why not take it? You know, I feel like that's human nature, right? It's like the whole cookie jar analogy, right? Like if I could steal a cookie every day and my mom not know, why would I not steal it? It's what I want. It gives me pleasure. I'm not gonna get in trouble for it. And she not gonna know, so not gonna hurt her. So fuck it, let me do that. It's like cheating on your girl. Like fuck, my girl love me. I'm gonna cheat on her. She not gonna know anyway, and it makes me feel good in the moment. So fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really hard to do the right thing when you know you could get away with shit. You know what I'm saying? So like that's something that I actively work on every day. I don't want to be that person. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be remembered as that. I don't want to be. So that's what I'm saying. Like if I could be remembered for one thing, it'd actually be remembered to being like, man, that motherfucker was a hell of a. Everything that he said, he did. If he said something, he meant it. He was, he was about his word. And obviously, everybody, myself included, we all struggle with that. I mean, we all human, so we all fall short. But if there was one thing I could be remembered as, that would truly be it. And if I am, or they put that on my tombstone, you know what I'm saying? Like, I won't be there to see. But I think my son and my family will be happy to see that. So I hope that's on there.
If you can turn back the clock and go back to your 18-year-old self, or just giving advice to young adults, which you do daily, what would be some heavy advice that you want to stick to yourself?
Man, some advice I would give to a younger me.
And then after this question, let's fast forward, because you gave me a book that was a goal setting for 5 years. So advice to 18-year-old self, and then advice to yourself 5 years down the road.
18-year-old Brett, if I could talk to you right now, I would say you're thinking too small. You're thinking too small. I know you believe that what you're thinking about is big, but they're not big enough. You thinking about going to college, like you're not thinking big enough. You should want to go to the best college. You're thinking about, playing college football, hey, go to the best school, because you're just as worthy of that as anybody else. And I think sometimes when you come from the Central Valley, or you come from a town that maybe isn't the biggest town, you limit yourself because you believe like, oh, I'm not from the Bay Area, or I'm not from LA, or I'm not from Sacramento, just a bigger area in California. So you limit yourself of what is attainable. And those kids in LA or Sac or the Bay, you're just as entitled to go to UCLA or USC just as them. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And you're just as equipped. So I would definitely tell myself to think bigger. I'm not thinking big enough. And what's my 5-year goals, you said?
Yep, like 5 years down the road.
5 years from now, where I want to be in business, I would say 5 years from now, like I would like to be in hopefully more than one school district. Like obviously Modesto City schools, and so in 5 years, whether that's Modesto City, Ceres Unified, and Turlock Unified, that would definitely make me happy if I can achieve that in terms of that. For the business, just working with more people and connecting more with people who maybe are from a lower socioeconomic like backgrounds, who probably usually don't have the money to train or come to a place like TPL, find a way to reach those type of people in that demographic. For my son, have my son, really excelling in whatever it is that he wants to. He'll be almost 8 at that time, or he'll be 8, almost 9 at that time. So whatever it is that he's into, like fully be engulfed in that. And then for me as a man, 5 years from now, truly just be happy, whatever that is. I'm saying? Happy in my life, content in my life. And I feel like if I can achieve that, with my family and achieve that in my business, there's really nothing more I want in life. Everything else is just icing on the cake. But if my son and my family's happy and my business is doing what it needs to do, I'm a happy guy.
What's your definition of greatness?
Greatness? My definition of greatness, I guess if I had to define it, it's truly walking in the path that you should be walking in. I feel like one of the worst things in life is wasted talent. And Coach Golding, my coach that's at Alabama now, he used to tell me, or Coach Golding, Coach Rob used to tell me all the time, they said, if you ever hear somebody tell you that you have potential, you're already losing in life. Because all that means is that you're not where you're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So, if I'm great, I'm exactly where everyone says that I'm supposed to be. But if people say, oh, well, Brett's like really good, but if there's any buts, I'm not great. Like no one looks at Michael Jordan and says, but. Nobody looks at Kobe Bryant and says, but. Nobody looks at Jerry Rice and says, but. You only say but about the people who never accomplished what people bestowed on them, which I guess is like, here or there, but it's like for you. Everything I said that I'm going to do, if I don't do it, then I was never great. I was good. I was really, really good. But if I don't achieve the things that I set out for myself, I can't say I was great at it. So that's what I'm saying. There can't be no buts.
Absolutely.
No asterisk next to the name. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
That was powerful. Where can listeners learn more about you or connect with you at?
I guess just follow me on the gram. You mean at TPL Systems? You mean so? Just holler at me on there. You mean I usually answer a bunch of DMs. You mean I try to get back to everybody. I guess if you have a question, and then hopefully I'm able to do more things like this with you. You mean, but yeah, just holler at me on.
Is there a promo code for people who watch this podcast?
I ain't got no promo code. Not yet. But definitely want to say, thank you for having me on. I definitely respect you. You mean. As a peer, even with the age gap, I don't look at you, as you being inferior or you don't know shit, because obviously you do. I think what you're doing is pretty powerful and pretty cool. Like I tell you all the time, the shit that you're doing at your age was way ahead of what I was. I was just getting money. You know what I'm saying? I was just kind of in my own little world. So you doing stuff like this, man, I think is super cool. And to other young entrepreneurs, black, white, brown, purple, whatever fuck color you is, like if you're not listening to the podcast, you're losing. Or if you're not connecting with Khalil, you're losing for sure. So keep it up, and I'm definitely gonna tune in and listen to what the fuck you got going on.
Thank you. I appreciate you just for being here. This is a special moment for me having you here, and I can't wait to see what our friendship, our brotherhood develops and turns into later on down the road. I love you as well, man. Thank you for being here.
All right, cool. That's cool.